Hello and welcome. My name is Chelsea. I'm an intuitive wellness coach and former naturopathic doctor. I love teaching people about the energetics of their body that they may not be aware of. And as you may or may not know, my history personally and clinically as a naturopathic doctor and beyond has involved many different frequency devices. I think now it's over 16 that I've had experience or connection with. And I wanted to share a little bit of wisdom from that I've learned. So essentially, I want to remind you that we're bathing in frequency all the time. So if we were able to see everything that is out there on the frequency spectrum, it would be absolutely overwhelming for our system. We wouldn't be able to function or focus on anything. So our physical senses should really be applauded for that, because they focus us into specific panels of information so that I can notice that there's a chair over here, a plant over here, instead of all this goopy information of lines and colors and everything else going on. It helps me make sense of the world in a more physical and tangible way. So that's something that we should celebrate. We should also celebrate the fact that we have other intuitive senses that can help us sense or feel or see in different ways from our physical senses. So a couple of examples of this: EMFs and Wi-Fi, cell phone radiation, cell tower radiation, things like that we've talked about before. And you can even think of an X-ray. So an X-ray creates a picture on a film. You can't see the actual frequency waves being emitted, but it has to be something there because we can see the end product of it. So again, keeping our minds open, we can start to really appreciate the fact that we are so much more than just the physical beings. And this is something I touch on a lot in Body Connection Blueprint, and especially in even Module 1. We talk about the energetic observations that I feel are pivotal for us all to learn, and it really shifts how you think about your health in the physical and energetic way. I wanted to give you a few examples of how energy is felt or sensed, and just give you some anecdotes to just kind of think about and consider. So, for example, sound. So one of the frequency devices that I had experience with was something called quantum sound healing technology. And so there was a specific device that was being used, and it put out all these different frequencies for, love and healing and all these lovely things that you could feel in the body, but it was emitted via sound waves. And so one of the capabilities of this technology was that you could get a personalized recording of what you required for your own field to heal. So I was working at this clinic that had this technology, and they actually had this, basically this MP3 in this piece of technology, and it was play all these beautiful healing frequencies, and there was 2 other soundtracks that were on that playlist. And they happened to be for people that worked in the office, but were not me. And for various reasons, this technology ended up being in my office. However, those soundtracks were still on there for the other people working elsewhere in the office. Every single time that it would come up to the frequency of the other people in the office, I would start to feel an agitation in my body within seconds of these recordings starting. I would feel like this squirreliness, like I have to get up, I have to move, like something's bothering me, it just made me go a little frantic. And I realized every single time that happened, it was because of these tracks that had started playing. Literally within seconds, I would look at the timer. That's what's happening again. So I'd skip through that part of the playlist, and everything would resolve and be fine. So again, another example of, we don't realize sometimes the effects of what frequency is doing to us, but if you're sensitive to that in any way, you will notice that. So even with electromagnetic fields, if I've had times where my cell phone is a new cell phone, I don't have the balancing technology for it yet, or I'm holding someone else's, and I can feel that it's too close, and I don't even see it sometimes. I just start feeling like, oh, there's some sort of agitation or restlessness in the field. And then I realize, it's this piece of technology. I move it further away and it resolves. So again, there's so many things that we are exposed to that we may not be picking up on in the physical, unless there's some sensitivity there, but are affecting us in some way. So it's just something to be mindful of. And I've talked about the EMF balancing technology that I use and the history of how I've kind of used that, and what I felt and noticed with clients. I've talked about that in a past video, so I'll link that below. And then I'll also link the Instagram highlights where I discuss that as well. But basically that is, the main message for today is how these frequencies can actually impact us. The other way is I would use various devices that were frequency based, not necessarily sound, but various frequencies. And what we would do is we would place that on the body in certain areas, and during the time of the session, someone may not notice a specific effect, but they would notice later, oh, I feel a lightness here, or like this scar is healing, or whatever it is. There are some sensitive people who would feel the actual frequency being emitted. So we know that something is being transmitted and happening, and then there's that end result in the physical. So I don't want you to underestimate the power of knowing the energetics and the frequency. Moving forward, it's going to be really important that we kind of all understand this to some degree. And it doesn't mean that you go out there and get all these devices. I do have a device that I use myself and for aligned clients. And I'm happy to tune in and see if that's something that would be aligned for you. But there's also a lot of frequency devices out there that I've again talked about before that I see certain cautions around. We want to be aware of intentionality, because frequency is basically like, it's a sentient nature to it. Intention is really important. So we want to make sure that there's no possibility for manipulation of that intention, and that it's a clear and strong intention, that we remain in the power and empowerment and in control of how we use those frequencies and how they're utilized, and again, the intention of it. So these are all things to consider. I'm curious if you want to know any more about this. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to expand on this, or find me on Instagram at Joyful Body Method and send me a DM about what question or topic we can dive into next. Until next time, continue to stay well, be aware, and be open to all the possibilities around you for your health and wealth expansion. I said wealth, but health and wellness expansion. Wealth is health and vice versa. So that all fits too. But just remain open and aware. And if you wanted more information on kind of the energetics and how it mixes with the physical, my course Body Connection Blueprint is also a really great resource for that. It's literally the blueprint of how I increased my empowerment, boosted my intuition, and shifted my physical symptoms to just be more me. Through body connection, something that I think is so important right now. So I'll have the links below for that, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.